Hello and welcome to Dead End Comics. I'm your host, Brian Madman McNally,
And I'm Aaron Darkhazer Banzon.
and this week we're doing the spoiler review of Snagglepuss. And so this was delayed because I recently taken up a second job, and I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. Um, and Aaron's actually always been working two jobs, so
Yeah,
for as long as I've known him.
yeah, pretty much. But I kind of like your second job, so because you get to
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I get to walk dogs.
yeah. There you
No,
go.
actually, no, I'm a male prostitute. Beautiful woman.
Oh yeah, male prostitute.
Beautiful, yes,
walking dogs.
beautiful. No. A beautiful woman come to me.
Oh my god.
Dog walker is just code for the bitches I handle.
Language. Do you want to get demonetized on YouTube?
You're allowed a few, you know.
Yeah, but still, you know how it is. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So, we're talking the Snagglepuss spoilers here. So, oftentimes the best bits to talk about are the end, and so let's just talk about the end where he goes up against the House of Un-American Activities the second time,
Yep.
and unlike his first time, which we see at the beginning of the book, this time around he fails, and he is labeled a communist. He loses his career. You know, he's blacklisted from Broadway. But then the upside to it, and this is something where I'm probably going to educate you a bit on, is so Quick Draw McGraw comes to him and offers him a position in these cartoons that they've been producing for a while now. And when he first comes on, they paint him orange and kind of like curly up his hair. And that's actually a reference to the creation of the character. Was originally Snagglepuss was presented as Snaggletooth, and he was an antagonist in an episode of the Quick Draw McGraw cartoon. Creators liked that character so much and thought he was so funny that they wanted to rework the character into his own cartoon show. So that's what that moment was a reference to.
Okay. Now I'm educated.
Yeah. Yeah, how did you feel about that ending, though?
Uh, it's pretty realistic that not every person in their own story wins, and like even with that blacklisting, it's like yeah, screw it. I'm just gonna go back into it. You know how Snagglepuss like he was reluctant about this rising of cartoons, but he eventually went for it, right?
Yeah, because he ultimately he needed a better cartoon as well, or I'm sorry, a better career as
Yeah.
well. Since
He was blacklisted.
yeah, something else too I also liked about that ending though was how Augie Doggy writes his biography,
Yeah.
and it's also it kind of parallels the conversation they had when they first meet, where Snagglepuss is telling Augie Doggy about how like writers are always supposed to write their truth, and then Augie Doggy, as he's showing him the first print of the book, he's talking about how as writers, you know, we kind of want to have this desire to lie to make the truth more digestible.
Yeah, because sometimes the truth is so boring and mundane, or even like so hard to take in that you have to really twist it in order to like sell it.
Yeah. So something else I wanted to talk about too is the part of the book that I was not prepared for. uh, so I knew going in, I'd seen IGN. They interviewed Mark Russell, and he talked about the Snagglepuss book back when before the first issue had released earlier this year. And so I already knew that okay, Snagglepuss is going to be gay. And I mean, come on, we've all made those jokes. Those of us who watch the old cartoons. But what I was not prepared for was for to see Quick Draw McGraw and Huckleberry Hound in a gay relationship.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. So I'll just accept that, and like yeah, it serves some purpose to the story. So
No, yeah, it definitely does. It's for me too. It was just one of those things that caught me off guard that he was making more than just Snagglepuss.
yeah,
Also gay.
yeah, yeah. It's quite a lot to take in from these characters.
I also like too the way they did his character though, where he was like this Southern Gothic writer talking about how lonely he was in the world.
Oh man. Well, you know, that's some Southern Gothic writing for you. So.
And then also too about how when they do the that raid on the Stonewall, and so yeah, they do the raid on the Stonewall, and when Huckleberry sees Quickdraw essentially assaults him and arrests him.
Yeah, that must have been very heartbreaking for both of them, and I could feel that heartbreak right then and there.
Yeah, because you also see too that part afterwards where Quickdraw kind of breaks down, and then that also leads again into to how Huckleberry commits suicide.
Yeah, and then that really motivates Snagglepuss to like not play ball with the committee.
Yeah, which I think also gets into another interesting thing too, is about how up until that point he'd been very adamant about keeping to his values, and about how he would about how he believed that writers have to write about what they believe is their truth, and this whole idea of selling this this idea of like what American values should be rather than what reality is. And then he's willing to give all of that up in order to save Huckleberry Hound's reputation.
Yeah.
And then essentially the House of American Activities, they were, he was going to help him out, and then Huckleberry commits suicide. And so it's just kind of this great ironic twist, though, but also this interesting thing about how, despite everything that he had said before, when it comes down to his the life of his friend, he's willing to throw away his values in order to save his friend's life.
It was just such a, in a way, moving type of thing for Snagglepuss, and like how Huckleberry just really affected his life, and that one action just really pushed him.
Yeah, and I also think too it's an interesting thing. We all like to believe that we have these things. We believe things that we will believe and maintain and live by to the very end. But
yeah,
what is the cost? What are the costs of our morals? And so they found his cost, but then obviously, as I mentioned before, it got messed up. But anything else you think back on?
Well, I just found it beautiful on like the ending narrative. Like, what is a free society without its divergence? The people that are against the culture. The sort of counterculture. You can't have a free society without those type of people, the people that think differently. The dissidents. I think that was just quite beautiful, and that's really how American free society is.
Yeah. Something else too. I also just remembered that came to mind too was the whole thing about the elderly man that Snagglepuss keeps visiting in the retirement home.
Yeah.
And they ultimately revealed that was his father.
Ah, man. Yeah, that happened.
How did he feel about that? Because I gotta be honest, I didn't see that coming, only because I didn't expect there to be crossbreeding, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either.
Yeah, because they do show in a photo that his mother was a pink mountain lion, but his dad was a human.
Yeah,
which is also too. I think I mentioned this in the review 2 weeks ago, but that also is much like BoJack Horseman, where there aren't crossbreeds. It's that the child will either come out as one animal or the other.
Yeah, and then the animals don't wear pants either. But anyway,
no, they wear pants in BoJack.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I'm talking about Snagglepuss. Yeah, they don't wear pants. But anyway, that was quite a twist, and like I think it really ties up Snagglepuss's character, right?
Yeah. Yeah, too. His, that also kind of showed like the price he was willing to pay in order to become a playwright.
Yeah.
Giving up essentially his father's respect, and his father even says too that he believes that it was because Snagglepuss left for Broadway that his mother passed away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I also like too. How they never like flashback to that, which means that it's largely left up to the audience's interpretation on whether or not how much his departure really was connected to her death.
Yeah, like there's no need for the flashback. It's like it's up to our interpretation, and it's gonna always be in the back of our mind while we're reading the story.
Yeah. Now, trying to think of other things too to say. You got anything else? Anything that struck a chord with you?
No. I just like that ending.
Yeah, something else to also like is they kind of. I suppose you could also take it to the ending to probably mean perhaps that some of Snagglepuss's other associates would he'd also bring them into that Hanna-Barbera cartoon fold.
Wait, what about them?
Well, because there was Squiddly Diddly who.
Oh yeah.
And Peter Potamus.
Yeah.
So presumably he eventually, kind of brings those characters into the fold to be a part of the cartoon world.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it's like really open ended from that point then.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say? Something else too. Darn it! I can't remember what it was. Because I did check the email this time around, and even though I let my friend borrow it, he didn't finish it in time to. He didn't. Yeah, he didn't finish it. Okay. Yeah, he didn't finish it in time to send an email to us. But yeah, though. So I'm trying to think too if there are any other cameos that I didn't talk about. Because I remember, I think I went through all of them in last week's review. It's just like with the historical characters and also the other Hanna-Barbera characters. But I guess something else I did want to bring up, and we did also hint about this in the last thing too, but it is also largely about free speech and about how the cost of free speech during times of fear.
Yeah.
Like during McCarthyism, because I was. I can't remember his name right now, but earlier today I was watching a video about this Spanish monk who was considered the Grand Inquisitor that led to the prosecution of these Jewish converts to Catholicism, and just talking about how it was this era and essentially which they were doing witch hunts on. Catholics who they believe, or converted Catholics who they believed were still practicing Judaism behind closed doors, and it's just kind of interesting to see how because also too watching this video they talked about how essentially not only was it about getting them to confess, but getting them to confess and then name other people.
Yeah.
Much like during McCarthyism.
Yeah, like how Snagglepuss was always bogged down by the committee, like name these other dissidents.
Yeah.
Like in Hollywood and all that.
Yeah, the other thing too is also when you don't really know any other dissidents, how do you
respond to that?
Yeah, because it was also noted too. I'd also mentioned this with Arthur Miller's play, which I couldn't really remember what it was called. I'm just gonna look it up right now. Oh yeah. So it was The Crucible. So The Crucible, Arthur Miller was the wrote the screen or the stage play. Yes, the stage play, The Crucible, which was a retwisting of the it's really not I wouldn't say that it's a historical account of the Salem witch hunts.
Oh yeah.
Just because he intentionally he changed a lot of the events as they happened, as well as he aged up some of the characters from who those actual historical people were.
Yeah.
Particularly the young girls, I believe he aged them up.
Mm-hmm.
But that entire play is essentially talking about as well how the witches would be people accused of witches would have to accuse other people, and it kind of was this thing that spiraled out of control.
Yeah, it's like a never-ending cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a film adaptation too that is quite good.
Really?
Yeah, and something else that's interesting as well is because in the play the town's preacher the town's preacher who it was his daughter and his niece who were the ones initially caught doing or supposedly doing witchcraft.
Yeah.
It's so in the play he's kind of portrayed as a fool and kind of a bumbler.
Mm-hmm.
But as historians have dug into it more and more, they've kind of found out that he's actually a lot smarter than Arthur Miller portrayed him, and that he might have incited the witch hunts in order to get people to convert to his church.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but we've gone a little bit off topic though.
Yeah.
From the Snagglepuss. But yeah, I think we've said about everything regarding Snagglepuss that we wanted to, though.
Yeah, mainly the ending.
Yeah, no, and like I said too, I love just that comment on free speech and about art.
Yeah.
So join us back next week when we will be doing a review of Fight Club 2, which is a sequel, actually not to the film, but to the book.
Yeah, which they're like a bit different from each other.
But Aaron has never read the
book or even watched the movie before you actually let him borrow it.
But now you have seen the movie.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted us to represent the two types of people that would likely pick up this book. One being myself, who has read the book and seen the movie. And granted, I did watch the movie I did watch or read the book after watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then a large part of the audience, I would presume, has probably only ever seen
the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So he will be representing that when we review the book. But this is one that even though, like, for as much as I would like people to read along with this is one I'd be like, just skip it.
Okay.
Yeah, a little preview of my opinions on Fight Club 2.
Okay.
They're not very high.
Yeah, we'll read it for you then.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at DeadEndCBC. Join our Facebook page at facebook.com/DeadEndComics, Dead End Comic Books. And follow us on SoundCloud at Dead End Comic Books. SoundCloud/Dead End Comic Books. The email, of course. How could I forget the email? Yes, you can email us at Dead End Comic Books Reading Club. No, wait, sorry. This is going to require a lot of editing. DeadEndComicBooksClub@gmail.com.